All right. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. This is Friday's math lesson, and I need you in your folder of work. I need you to find this packet. Okay, it's stapled, and the top page says which one, and over here it says lesson 4-4. So, what I need you to do is find this packet, get out a pencil, and write your name where it says the date. Usually we write the date, but I'd like you to write your name today. Okay. So find your packet, get your pencil, write your name. While you're doing that, I am going to get my screen set up so that I can have the worksheets on my computer that you are going to be doing. All right. So yesterday you talked or you learned about measuring with Mrs. Glidewell, and you watched a brain pop video all about the correct ways to measure. Today, we're going to do some more work with measuring, but you don't need your pencils. Okay, we're going to be looking at what other people did to measure. But the first thing I want you to look at is this page where it says which one. And it says number 1, which ribbon is longer? Circle it. Now, your paper doesn't have color, so you're really thinking about the top ribbon or the bottom ribbon. Which ribbon is longer? And then I want you to think about why you chose that ribbon compared to the other ribbon. I'm going to give you a second to do that. So circle the longer ribbon. Okay, so if you circled the blue ribbon, why did you choose that one? If you circled the pink one, why did you choose that one? Now, I would have circled the blue one. And the reason I circled the blue one was because I felt like they were pretty close on this end. Like the ends were pretty close to the same spot. And this one goes longer. So that's why I chose that blue one. All right, let's move on to number 2. It says, which set of tally marks shows the larger number? Circle it. So go ahead and circle it. And I'm actually not going to tell you the correct answer on this one. I'm just going to check to see how you do. So you're going to circle the tally marks that show the larger number. All right. Once you're done, go ahead and flip your packet to this page. Now, go ahead and cross out number 1. It says use blocks to measure the length of the pencil. In class, we would use our base 10 blocks, but you don't have base 10 blocks at home. If you have a ruler and you want to measure how many inches long this pencil is, go for it. But I'm not going to I'm not going to make you do this because you don't have the tools. If you want to do this, do it. I would love to see people measuring if they have a ruler at home. Another thing that you could use to measure is paper clips. So maybe you have 2 paper clips at home, or maybe you have 2. I know I have chip bag holders that are about that long, so I could use a couple of those to measure. But if you choose to measure something for this problem, you're going to have to cross out blocks, and you're going to have to tell me what you used. So you didn't use blocks, so it's not going to be about blocks long. So if you used paper clips, you're going to write paper clips. If you used a ruler and you measured in inches, you're going to write the word inches. That way I know what you used to measure. So 1 is optional. If you want to do it, go ahead. If not, totally skip it and it's totally fine. Number 2 is where we're really thinking about what Mrs. Glidewell taught us yesterday. Okay. What makes a good measurement? What do you need to make sure that when you're measuring that you do? Okay, so we're going to use this as a teaching tool today. So we're going to talk about it and figure out who measured correctly. So number 2, here is how 4 children used blocks to measure the length of a marker. So we have Rodrigo, and here is how Rodrigo measured the marker. Then we have Lee, and this is how Lee measured the marker. Then we have Sophia, and this is how Sophia measured. And then we have Joseph, and this is how Joseph measured. The question is, who made the best measurement? Okay, so what I need from you is to choose who do you think made the best measurement, Rodrigo, Lee, Sophia, or Joseph. And you're going to write that name right here. Okay, so I'm going to have you pause the video, that means stop the video, and write that name right here. When you're done, play the video again and we'll talk about it. So go ahead, pause the video, write the name, and then we will move on. Okay, I'm assuming that you have a name written here and you've thought about why you think that. Okay, let's talk about this. So, looking at how, let's just work backwards. Looking at how Joseph measured, I notice that all his blocks are right next to each other. But I notice that his blocks are not the same size. Is that a good measurement or not a good measurement? That's not a correct way to measure because we can't say it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can't say it's 8 blocks long because we have little blocks and we have big blocks. Okay, so let's look at Sophia. So Joseph did not measure correctly. Let's look at Sophia. This picture is trying to tell us that Sophia put one block and then another block and then another block. So her blocks were overlapping. So if Sophia was correct, the marker would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 blocks long. But did Sophia measure correctly? She didn't. She overlapped her blocks, which means she has more blocks than she needs to measure her marker. So Sophia did not measure correctly either. Let's move on to Lee. Lee doesn't have any overlapping blocks. His blocks are all the same size. But what's wrong with Lee's measurement? Yeah, he has spaces between his blocks. So if Lee was correct, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The marker would be 6 blocks long. But in reality, is it more blocks than that? Yeah, because they have all these spaces. Lee needs to push his blocks together so that one block is touching. Let's look at Rodrigo. Rodrigo used all the same size blocks. And his blocks are not overlapping like Sophia's. And his blocks are all touching each other. And he doesn't have any gaps like Lee. So Rodrigo is who made the best measurement. So if you have something other than Rodrigo, I'm going to ask you to change. I hope your handwriting is a lot neater than mine. Rodrigo. And if you have something different, I want you to change it to Rodrigo. And then I want you to write one reason that Rodrigo measured correctly. So one reason, we named a bunch. Give me one of those. So you could write all the blocks were touching. Or you could write all the blocks were the same size. Or another reason that Rodrigo measured correctly. If you want to challenge yourself, write all the reasons that Rodrigo measured correctly. Okay? When you're done with all of these, I want to see it on Seesaw. So I'm not giving you the answers to everything. So I want to see your work on Seesaw to see how you did. Okay? So when you're done with this page, we're going to move on to the next one. So if you're still working on this page, if you still need to write your sentence, pause the video, finish this page before we move on to the next one. Okie dokie? Okay. So I'm going to assume that you're all done with both pages. If you're not, pause and keep working on those 2 pages. Otherwise, we're going to keep going. So these are math boxes, and we've started these a while ago, about almost 2 months ago now, and we are working to be able to do these independently, okay? So we worked last week on frames and arrows, okay? Frames and arrows. You need to fill in the rule and write the missing numbers. Okay, they give you 3. So they give you 8 and then 10 and then 12. To go from 8 to 10, what do you need to do? To go from 10 to 12, what do you need to do? That is what the rule is. Once you figure out the rule, you need to fill in the next 2 frames. Okay? Number 2, it's the same thing, more frames and arrows. Write the missing numbers. What's our rule? -6 or subtract 6. Okay? They start us at 26. -6 is 20. And then they -6 again. Where would that put us? And then from that number, if we -6 again, what number do you have? Then you can kind of check yourself, because if from this number, if you -6, they're telling you you should land at 2. Okay. Now, unfortunately, we did not think far enough ahead to send home a math tool. So we didn't send home your math journal. We did not send home a math, your number grid or your number line. I'm hoping that you may still have some of these tools available from when we did our remote work. Okay. If not, maybe a grown-up can print one of these tools off, or at least find one online that you could use. Okay, so if you need a tool for this, you need to ask your grown-up. Number 3, it says use your number grid. We're starting at 45. Count up 10 hops. Where do you land? So we're actually I have a number grid, so we're gonna do this together. Starting at 45. So I'm gonna find where I start, 45, and it said count up 10 hops. Are they talking about addition or are they talking about subtraction? Count up. They're talking about addition, so I'm going to count up 10 hops. You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the tricky part. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Where did I land? I landed at 55. Now, do you guys know the shortcut? If you want to add 10 on a number grid, which is what we just did, you can go down a row. So if I want to add 10 to 45, I can just go down a row. That's adding 10. Okay, if I wanted to add 10 more, I could go down another row. So every time you go down a row, you can think plus 10, 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 plus 10. Now it works the opposite way if you go up. If I'm adding and if I'm going down and I'm adding, if I go up a row, I'm subtracting 10. So you have to think minus 10, 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 minus 10. For example, if I'm at 20 and I want to subtract 10, I can go like that because it's minus 10. And I land at 10. All right, so back up here, we said we count up 10 hops from 45 and we land at 55. Okay, and number 4, how many dots? This is like a quick look, you guys. Tell me, how many dots do you see? You're gonna write the answer there. You're gonna tell me how you see 8 dots. Okay, how do you see that? You're gonna write your answer there. When you're done, please take a picture of all 3 of these pages, submit them to Seesaw, and then you will be all done with your math work for the week. If you have any questions, please let us know. If you need help, you can join our Zooms until 10, or if you're working on this after that, send us a message. We can set up a quick Zoom and walk you through it. All right. Bye, guys. Have fun.